5:30, 10:15. Right,
Right.
it appears we have everybody in attendance.
And Joe falling in the door.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, minutes from 10:1.
I want to amend just that I added on the bottom for our next meetings that we'll be meeting the first and third instead of putting the dates and stuff.
Okay.
in.
Yeah. oh,
Yeah, so will that be okay?
That's fine, yeah.
Okay.
I'll move to accept with the modification
As amended.
as amended.
Second,
I second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Let's move on. We're gonna talk about this now.
Plus 17. With the amendment.
Yeah, those.
Yeah, that's.
Milk
We're
farm.
moving on,
With milk on.
we're moving on.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to the beach grant.
Wait a minute, what happened to milk
Ellen,
farm?
or,
We're not
We
talking.
can't
No,
discuss
no.
it.
Not talking about milk farm.
Tomorrow's the 30th day.
Okay.
I don't know why, but okay.
so we're going to you? for a-
Well, I mean, you should know,
yeah.
just so you should know, I mean, they have 30 days to appeal, so we're waiting for the appeal on the decision to be made. And Ron has advised us not to have any further comment
Yeah.
until the appeal period.
In case it morphs into
Something.
Yeah, law.
something.
Yeah, which is good
Legal
advice.
matter.
Yeah,
Got it. Okay.
just so you know.
So, well, congratulations all. We did move forward and we are waiting to see if we're approved for the feasibility. And, next steps, Ellen actually is here.
Vina's here too.
Okay,
So Ellen's here too, she's the one who did the work on, most of the work on this.
Yeah, so it's been submitted and it was written to, basically the way it was written is that there are two sets of scores. One is the, northern regions, and, the NRPC has, Border Commission has its scoring 50 points. And then the BEA has its scoring 50 points. So the way you write these things is you tailor it to meet those and, to meet the scoring. You look at the score and what you get scored for, and then you kind of tailor, your application to meet those, right? Have the right words and the right buttons you push. We did get feedback from our pre-application that we needed to have letters of support and we needed to show, support from the community and the voters. So the BOS vote, was very important that happened last week because that signified, support of voters or support of the town. That was really important. And then the other thing is we got 6 letters that were good, and I think that you all know what those 6 were, but and they were good because they were varied. They showed regional support, different kinds of businesses. They showed your member of Congress support, your executive counselor support. So, you have those. So we kind of hit I think we hit the high notes. And that's kind of how you try to write these things. But now it goes through a review process, and the review process is first with NBRC, which you said, and this is where I had a question for Vino, because, the federal government's shut down and they're a federal agency, but that you said their lawyers are reviewing it?
Yeah, they, I did call just to double check,
Yeah,
and they did say that, the Northern Borders Regional Commission is not affected by the shutdown. So
wow.
the process will not be delayed. Their lawyers will look at the applications, over the next 10 days or so. And then it comes back to our department for scoring. All the applications will be scored where with the state, we're not bothered by the actual federal shutdown. So, within 10 days, our department will get all the applications and they'll start the scoring process. So,
and so if I understand it correctly, so every state gets an allocation of money,
correct?
but the state itself is the one that decides, that it's gonna rank.
Who gets the money?
Right, so is it like, I think it was only like 6 million in this round or something, right?
Yep.
So, you're talking 6 million for the state of New Hampshire.
Yeah, we have a little bit more because, in the last few years, we actually approved projects that never went forward.
Right.
like a couple of $1 million worth.
And you get to reclaim that money?
You got it.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. So it sits in an
Okay.
account until, you know, the state of New Hampshire comes up with new projects. So
Right.
she's right. We have 6 to begin with from Northern Borders. And then we also have, a balance that we can apply.
Nice.
So all it's gonna mean is that we'll probably have more projects approved than some of the other states because we have that funding set aside.
Nice.
So do you want to talk a little bit about the timing on it? That would be helpful, then everybody can understand, and it's, you know, like the timing, because January 13th is the last time for a warrant, right, for our town, but,
Right.
but I'm just saying the timing on the approval and, you know, how that fits up and aligns with the town meeting in March,
Right.
that would be helpful.
Yeah, yeah, well, they, you know, once the applications are scored, then that report goes to the commissioner of our department. He'll look at it and then, approve it. And then it goes to the governor. Governor will look at it and approve it as well. And then shortly after that, each applicant will get a letter of confirmation that they've been approved or that they've been declined. Once the applicants have the letters, a few days later, then the federal delegation will make their announcements, because the money comes from them. So in our case, Congresswoman Goodlander will be making announcements, as will Senator Jean Shaheen and Senator Maggie Hassan. And then
The timing, so at that time, when we get our approval, we can't spend money yet, right?
no,
We
no.
have to wait till we get the notice to proceed,
Right.
which is about 30 days
Right,
later.
right, but I mean, my point being is that we should have all of that over and done with before the end of the year.
Okay.
So that if there's an article that has to be brought to the selectmen, it can be written and then brought to them.
They already approved it, so it was approved, right? So that's, but I'm just saying,
Right,
but we can, let's say, but the town meeting is not till March, right? So can
Correct.
we can start to, when would we get the notice to proceed then? By February, probably,
I would say so, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And then once you have the notice to proceed, then you start with in our case, with the feasibility study.
It'd be after the vote,
But
though.
we do have to
Yeah.
get it on we have to get it on the warrant, which is,
Not until March,
Yeah, so really can't do anything till after
until
the,
after that vote.
Right,
right,
What about the NEPA? We may be able to do the NEPA before, but it's just an intake. It's a, well, we did it, you know, I mean, because that's just a document that you just have to check a box. So
Yeah.
that's a
Thanks,
good-
Ellen.
So, anyway, but that means then we could have, so they can't start to issue an RFP or do anything like that if they win before March. Is that right? Is that what you're saying, Ron? I guess.
yeah, the voters have to vote on the warrant article,
Right.
raise and appropriate the 50,000.
the money, right,
Cause you gotta you gotta meet the
Okay.
match in
Right.
order to go forward, you know, even if you're approved, you still need to fulfill that requirement. So it won't be till after the vote,
Mhm.
town meeting,
but the board did vote to support the warrant article.
to move on forward.
Yeah,
Yep.
so we got,
Which was important. I think that's
Yeah.
gonna help a lot.
Yeah.
And Ellen, I know, I said this via email or text or something, but thank you.
Mhm.
We certainly couldn't have done this without you, and the town is grateful.
It was timing. I was in the room.
can I add something here?
Sometimes
just like to-
timing works.
I would just like to add, as we go forward, as to why in support of going through the master plan. In the master plan that we are working to, under the recreation area.
Do you wanna hold that until we get to the master plan?
We can, but it's specifically about the beach. That's the only
Okay.
reason I brought that up, but we can do that, yes. Okay.
There's just, one thing I wanted to ask about, and I wanted to mention, and this is something we can talk about, is, you know, perhaps looking for other grants between now and then. I mean,
Yep.
this is just against the 50,000, but I, you know, obviously, if you know, that's a possibility.
Mhm.
I just want to mention that. So it's not like,
We'll get you a job.
I'm not going to get away. I'm not gonna disappear now that I've bought into this, you know. I'll be here to help through the process, you know, yeah, cause you have a lot more steps to go and, feasibility study's a feasibility study. Comes out with a report and in that report, certain documents, right? And then you're gonna use that and to create what you're going to go forward with or not. And at that point, you're gonna need funding too. So there's so many steps in the process, so it's important to glue them all. I just wanna say that in advance, you have to glue them all together and kind of get ahead of the curve,
Mhm.
like just start planning now for that. That's how I think about things. Okay, that's what I would suggest, and I'm already kind of thinking that way.
I don't have enough time.
I,
That doesn't work on my phone.
I also just wanted to close by saying
Listen,
when I did speak with them. About what happens going forward, whether or not, the federal government being shut down is gonna be a problem. They said no. And they again said congratulations, and they said, that lady that worked on it, Ellen, she's quite a character. I said, yes, she certainly is. We're lucky to have her.
Peter, with this one?
No,
No, okay, you need a pen.
Yeah.
need
I
stylus,
need faster thumbs.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Okay.
I can type, I just can't type very fast. Okay, anything else? Move on. Charlie?
We wanna talk about, the ARP.
Yeah.
I'm on here for. I don't really have the waste management proposal. But, I mean, I don't have an update to the process, okay? It's as we discussed it in the last meeting, there's been no alteration. So today though, Mr. Chairman, if you will, we have set up a special session, special meeting of this group to craft an RFP. I think that just to set the stage for that, I would like to suggest that we poll the board and make sure that we have the majority in place to move forward
Yeah.
with that discussion.
Is there anybody opposed to moving forward with an RFP, with an RFP? For the
So what's an
process?
RFP?
Request for proposal,
I mean,
Oh.
it doesn't cost us anything.
yeah, right,
Yeah. In other words, the process is, in case everybody needs a refresher on it,
do you wanna be our vendor?
we,
Yeah, this is what we have, this is what we need.
well, this board is not going to actually create an RFP,
Right, It'll
although
come from the board.
we're gonna create an RFP recommendation that goes to the select board, okay? It's the select board that will submit an RFP to whoever wants one submitted to them, actually, okay? The way we'll post it. This committee is charged with crafting the wording of that proposal and, getting it finalized, so that the select board's role will be to review it and either approve or deny it.
Yep.
All right, so, it's an important part of the process. It is the framework of what we're going to try to move forward with. So we need to be very clear in what this group is asking for. If there's
So with that
questions,
being said,
if there's questions, would be the time, just so it's clear as we go into the meeting. But other than that, nothing has changed from the presentations that were made in the previous meeting. Bonnie, you wanna-
My question would be whether we do an RFP that's broad enough to allow the waste managements and the other entities that can handle this material for Craig. And I didn't get a hold of Craig to sort of ask that question. So basically, at the end of 26, we're not gonna have a place to take our material. Should we combine this RFP to encompass the whole picture rather than going again down the road? Because if this doesn't fly with the town, we still need to move this material.
mm,
So I'm wondering if we can fashion this in a way that we can present it to the waste managements of the world, to the wind waste down in Concord, to Casella.
I think we have to.
I think we
Right.
have to make it
We need a solution.
right, and I think that's what we need to do.
I
That would
agree.
be my suggestion.
Okay, Warren, you will, I guess we can go into some of those details when we have the meeting on this, because I think that's gonna get a little detailed, so instead of just kind of trying to piece something together in the
Right.
moment.
Right.
You know, I think that's a good perspective and should be discussed when we have this working meeting.
Go, Jenny.
I definitely think Craig, we can't do this without Craig.
Yeah, that was my next
Because
question.
it would be, finding out what he thinks is extremely important. So we can help him because he's the one who's going to be facing this problem. The other thing that I'd like the committee to at least think about, should we look to some of our neighbors to see what they're doing? Because, you know, if we're looking at Ashland, we get certain whatever people in, but if we have a broader thing, it's like, okay, what they do here, they can go do the same thing in the next town or in Holderness and stuff, so it gives them more of a larger
Kind of
thing
a
that they're
regional
proposing, yeah, that they're doing, so if they're having to put facilities or have qualified staff to support this stuff, they're not just in this one place, it's broad.
Well, I started that process at one point.
And
I
I
talked
have
to Holderness.
And-
Holderness is a waste management
Mhm.
Mhm.
client. Plymouth is a Casella client.
They're in the same boat we're in.
They're in the same
Mhm.
situation that we're in. Whether or not they have a plan, I don't know. The person that I was supposed to talk to was sick then. I haven't gotten back to it.
But it's just a thought,
Since my initial conversation.
because we're.
My challenge is I work during the day and you know, if I get onto something, I tend to get.
Well, let me comment on this, where
Yep.
this is going.
Yep.
This is not necessarily the long-term solution that we're putting on the board this time around. This is a very special opportunity that we're going to craft a proposal, a request for proposal. And basically, the request for proposal says, we are looking for somebody to handle the town of Ashland's waste management processing at zero cost. Okay, that's the opportunity here. Now, may never get through, all right? That becomes the time when, okay, fallback. So what is it gonna cost and who's gonna do it? Okay. But that's not where we wanna be at this moment, or where this ARP discussion, you know, should go, because we don't want to, we have an opportunity to do something fairly unique and beneficial to the community. And we'd like to see that through, to see if it's viable as the first part of this discussion. Now, if it turns out to be not viable, then, you know, we have to go back and say, all right, you know, tell us what it's gonna cost and who's gonna do it. But I think we don't wanna have an overly broad request for proposal. But we want something very specifically in the interest of the town, which, as has been discussed in this group, is a possibility. Okay? It's a possibility at this moment. And it, you know, some of us think that, you know, that's really where we'd like to land as a first choice. Our waste management, at no cost. So, please, you know, I think that, you know, I'd like to have that perspective, and that's really maybe to the point of the committee's, uniformity on this. Is the committee, what I'd like to poll with you, Mr. Chairman, is that proposal the one that the committee is interested in fashioning and putting out initially?
I would certainly, go ahead, Frank.
It might be premature to do what you're doing, because what you're talking about is really defining the scope of the project or the scope of the RFP. And I think that merits some discussion among the committee. Is it the waste management? Or is it the elimination of the waste that we're sending to Casella? You know, what are we trying to shut down the transfer station? Are we gonna keep running it? I think those are important discussions you should have in your next round.
Well,
And I think trying to commit the committee to the focus now may be a little premature, or just.
well, if I hear you correctly, Frank, though, I hear something different than what Charlie's saying. You're focused very much on a trash solution, where Charlie is trying to handle our trash solution at zero cost to the town,
Well,
which is not something we should sneeze at.
I know, but the focus has changed over the last 2 months of what you were trying to do. And in the last meeting, that's when it became evident that it was the elimination of the transfer station.
No,
Somebody taking the waste.
No, that's incorrect. There's nothing on the board that I'm aware of that eliminates the transfer station. It's a question of the cost of operating the transfer station, who absorbs it. And that's more what's on the table. Now, I'm not gonna try to predict when we put this RFP out, what proposal is gonna be that comes in. That proposal is going to offer us, I imagine, options and, you know, it's going to stipulate, you know, the parameters. And, you know, in other words, nobody's going to process our waste for zero cost, you know, unless obviously there's going to be something in it for them. That's what I'm interested in really seeing, you know, in discussions that have taken place. I think there's a sense, and I certainly have a sense of, you know, what might be proposed. But as you pointed out, Frank, we don't have the details. And I think what I'd like to accomplish here is to get a proposal from these people with the details. And so at that point, the committee can look at it. And every, you know, you all as participants here can look at it, and that starts, you know, the serious discussion about, you know, the viability of it, the desirability of it, things like that. But I'm hoping that we get this RFP out with, and it's, to me, it's really simple. We're looking for somebody to process the town of Ashland's waste at zero cost. If you think you can do it, tell us how. That's, I mean, you know, obviously there's gotta be some detail to this, but that's the main body of what I hope this committee will get out there and see how viable that opportunity is. And then we can all, you know, kick it around and see where it goes. I mean, I think that's reasonable. To bury this in other considerations at the moment, I think puts us in jeopardy of missing out on what could possibly be a really good opportunity. And I'd also like, to your comments in the last meeting, to get this out in front of a number of people, you know, not limit this to one vendor. Just to get a sense of what the competing proposals might be, if there are any.
How would we determine that, Charlie? How would we find other entities that would send the
Well,
RFP to?
I think we have to, as I think Frank said this, we have to publish this.
Advertise it.
Yeah, and in other words, this, you know, and maybe Ron would help us, you know, put it in a forum that people could find or review. And I think that's what makes this, you know, gonna make it enlightening for us. Because as we assess how people respond to this, we'll know what situation we're in. Well, guess what? You know, we have, maybe it'll turn out we have no vendors, maybe we have one vendor, and, you know, maybe we have three. And that will kind of let us know where we stand with this process. Mr. Chairman, that's, you know, what I would suggest.
Question of clarification, so we would put an RFP asking for our waste to be processed for zero cost. And anyone that's interested in doing that puts together a proposal.
Correct.
And if there is nobody that can do that
We
in their
look at
mind,
Plan
or
B.
one that can do that. How does that tie into where we're gonna be at in 2026? What do we have to pay for?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't know who else in the town is looking at the freight train.
Is Craig Moore looking at it?
Mhm. And depending,
Yeah.
I think the towns are depending on the Pemmy Baker Solid Waste
Right.
District, but there doesn't seem to be any momentum.
Okay.
So the 19 towns are, or the 12 facilities that are made up of 19 towns around us, they are going out on their own. We talked to Littleton, and I mentioned to Ron today, Littleton has a 1-year contract for their waste up at Berlin. 1 year, because Berlin, Androscoggin,
And then if it's close.
Androscoggin, ABRDD.
Yeah,
They have to protect the people that they have contracts with.
Yep.
So Littleton has a spot contract for 1 year. That's not a very good feeling when it comes to waste. You wanna know years
Right.
ahead what your
Right.
costs are gonna be.
We're gonna be just like New York City.
So that, I guess that's
Vanilla
my
bars.
upfront concern, is that if we don't have some
Just let it
answers
pile up on the-
going forward, could Casella get an extension on that landfill? Who knows? Who knows?
Cause it sounds like we have to have a backup plan, right?
Right,
We need to do
right,
something.
and that was, the beginning of the
Yeah.
discussions.
Well,
Keep
there,
that in mind, that,
if we can't get it on our terms, then we're going to have to go out and take it on somebody else's terms. That's really where this goes. And we will pay whatever the going rate is. This is a play to save a considerable amount of money. This discussion, I think everybody knows here, we have a vendor who is entertaining this discussion with us.
Right.
Okay, again, lot of details to be sorted out. But it's also a lot of money if this can be worked out, saving us all, I mean, it's not gonna change our lives, but it's gonna push things in the right direction in terms of future cost. Also, just before you go, Frank, a number of people have commented to me, about the current operation of our recycling center, the involvement of people like Craig Moore and even the people who are working there now. There is nothing that's been put on the table that says that those people won't continue to have some role in the process. Okay, what's, I think, being discussed is, where the town will likely have to provide oversight. Sounds like the DPW director may be the logical person for that. And people working this facility post-agreement, who pays them? I think that whole issue is on the table. So I wanna kind of quell everybody's, fear here that, oh, we don't wanna put Craig, out of business. That's nowhere in this discussion at this point, okay? And to Frank's point, there is no elimination of the recycling center. Matter of fact, going forward, the recycling center will operate to the residents exactly as it operates today. That's been part of the discussion. Whether that comes back in the proposal, we'll see. But that is really the tenor of this, where, the resident doesn't see any change. It's just a matter of what happens to all the stuff that's collected. All right, so, again, I'm going to suggest, and Mr. Chairman, you tell me, but I think that's what the special meeting we called to kind of put together that specific type of proposal at this point in time.
And again, I would recommend that, again, is it Ashland only that we're dealing with?
No, not necessarily.
I'm talking
Again,
about Ashland Waste, Ashland Transfer Station, just Ashland. And that if somebody wants to do something different, they ought to specify that
in the proposal,
in the proposal.
Absolutely.
And then also, when you're asking for zero cost, what do you have to do to get there?
that's what the proposal is going to be about, Frank. That's what we're gonna be looking at. We're gonna say, okay, we're not paying you, but you gotta get rid of our waste. How are you gonna do it? what kind of cooperation
And-
do you need from us?
And I think, again, we talked about this at length last time we met, but there has to be some incentive for the vendor.
Yeah.
Or they're not gonna do it.
They have to be able to
Right.
make money.
Mhm.
Something, they do.
And, you know, I would just comment that in preliminary discussions with the vendor seems to think they have the means to make a proposal on that basis. That they can fashion this so that
It's
will
a
be
win-win.
acceptable to the town. Ashland will benefit significantly, and the vendor will also be whole.
My wife always says, unless we both win, nobody wins.
That's where we are.
You've heard that, Joe?
No.
No?
Question, could we not hook up with Waste Management?
Sure.
We could, right?
They would be on our bid list for a different kind of proposal.
Right, so what would it cost, for example, can we find out what it would cost for our current amount of waste that has to be transferred, because Waste Management has various facilities and they're really not affected by Bethlehem at all.
Mhm,
So,
correct.
could we possibly, switch over to
You know
Waste
what,
Management?
I can guarantee you about, waste management? It's gonna be more than no cost.
Yeah,
It'd be
it's gonna
much
be
more
more
than
than
what
no
we pay.
cost, yeah, okay, fine, but, would it be hard to, turn around and get a proposal from them?
But let's send
No.
them one,
Sure.
the one that,
let
let's send them the
respond to
one that we
RFP.
specify at zero cost. And actually, we can even include a line that says, or your best offer.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah,
Which-
that's a
Okay,
good idea.
All I'm saying is that in case this proposal
Yeah.
that you're coming up with dies, then we still have the option to go with
we'll
Waste
move
Management.
forward
So-
on Plan B.
So it's not like, oh geez, all of a sudden we're gonna have to pay
Joe,
trouble, right?
if this doesn't work, we need a plan B.
And Plan B could be Waste Management.
Sure.
Right,
Whoever
okay.
makes us the
Could
best
be
proposal,
Casella.
yeah, the best proposal.
Well, okay, all right,
Go
fine,
ahead, right?
good, thank you.
Okay, so, Mr. Chairman, would you ask the board if they're okay with?
No, yeah, is there anybody that disagrees with, Charlie's? Well, I like what we just talked about, right? I like the idea that we say, solve our problem and at what cost? Right?
We have to define our problem, which is to start.
Get rid of our trash, right?
Well, we have to
know
define
what
it in a little more detail.
Yeah.
Bonnie probably is, I'm assuming is a huge resource on that. She's a strategist. So I will go into I do have reservations, you all know that, but I
What are your
will-
reservations? I'm just curious.
I need more. My experience with putting out RFPs, requests for information or fees is you get pretty detailed, and I'm looking at this being more like a request for information where it's broad. So you can get all kinds of different proposals, totally different solutions, which could be good because as opposed to necessarily a request for proposal, I don't know, it's just, we're kind of in the, still being, we haven't got it really defined, which is fine. But I think as long as we recognize that we're really defined, but it's open for multiple vendors to come in with their interpretation to give us what their thoughts are of what could be done, which could be good. But it's kind of
Sounds like you're in.
with recipe, yeah, but I can be tough.
Yeah.
One quick
Yeah,
question.
sure.
Will the RFP specify tonnage, or will that be up to the vendor to come back and ask? Because that would be a driving factor, I would think.
We
Yeah,
know what
yes,
our-
we will specify the
Well,
tonnage of waste that we process and the types of waste that we process. So yes, we will state whatever our
Alright,
requirement
alright.
is in terms of what you have to process to be successful with this proposal. And, roughly the numbers are, 2 tons a day of our own waste, our MSW, whether or not they want to, consider recycling, or, that could be a separate issue, I don't know. But that's what'll be on the table, and they have to process
And
that.
we've got all that information.
Yeah. That's really the heart of the proposal, in
Right,
terms of what we have to
sure.
tell the vendor, we have to tell them something.
Yeah, I get it, yeah, 'cause that, I mean, that's key, right?
Yeah.
So,
I gave you that table in the RFP.
yep, yep,
You could probably expand on that one. If you want the
Yep.
Excel file, I can send you that too, so,
yeah, if you wanna send it to Peter.
okay.
I
that'd be
think
great.
I have it.
You think you do?
I think I can
Okay.
send it on.
So I'm a little concerned, Alan sort of brought up, what's the time frame here? We're going to bring something, we're gonna have to bring something to
Hmm.
the warrant. Because
If
we're
we're
gonna run out of a vendor at the end of next year.
Yep.
So we really gotta have our ducks in a row.
We gotta move.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Let's
that's
go.
why we called a special meeting
With both.
to work this out. I mean,
With both solutions though, if one doesn't pass, we've gotta have a backup.
but again, if we send this out, zero cost or your best offer,
Mhm. Okay,
it's one proposal fits all. And
that's
right.
what I would
Yeah.
like to see.
I mean, I think all of us, let's get the best deal here we can get. It's a little tough negotiation, but, that's it.
Oh, this is, yeah, for the waste managements of the world, this is
know, right?
easy peasy stuff.
Yeah.
They know what their costs are, they know what their cost to us will be.
Yeah, we might wanna think of one, other things like a temporary solution, because as you know, government contracts run very slow,
Mhm.
so
Well,
20
yeah, the permitting and all of that
the
would happen.
fall of 26, 2026. I mean, we've already really passed the deadline.
So we could use a year contract or two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
In the interim.
Well, yes, and I also think that even the vendors who respond to this RFP need to keep us whole in the entire process. So in other words, it can't be a drop dead proposal. We will give you some facilities and operational support in later 2027. But if, you need to have something before that, you're on your own. No, they would have to have something in this proposal that fills the gap. I'm hoping. And that's be something certainly I'll be looking for, because we want a complete solution. We don't wanna get to the end of 2026 and find out there's a 6-month hole before this, vendor can act. That hole has to stay filled with something.
So for the 29th, we're gonna try and hammer out our requirements. And the other piece of this is cost.
Are we gonna start with the document that Frank sent
We
out?
can, I'll send it out and everybody can review it and.
Do we have a town template?
Yeah, is there a town template?
I'll ask for something.
Okay.
There's probably a lot of copy and paste in there. Okay, moving
question.
on, yeah.
Can we invite Craig to be part of our work session?
I think. we
Yeah,
would.
okay.
I will do that.
Is that okay with you?
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you. Would you like to come too?
Oh, I'll be there.
Yay. Somebody's gotta keep that owl in check.
Okay, good. By the way, Bonnie is in charge of
Master plan?
this conversation.
Oh, at the work session. Mhm. Okay.
And then, okay, master plan, let's go.
I sent some information to Kendall that I'd been working on, mostly in the economic development chapter 8 is a lot of facts and figures.
Yes.
There was, some things that weren't available, but a lot that were. The US Census website was crazy. But I had a question for you. Would you be interested in an updated picture, Jana, for our cover page?
Of course.
Okay, that will remind you. And in the process of looking through the annual reports for new businesses, because
Yeah.
we stopped at 2018. And the planning board minutes are fantastic. We had 5 businesses come in, and this is them. So I'll review those with Kendall and we'll get that time frame from, I think it's 84 to present as to which new businesses have come into Ashland. And we'll review those together. But I did find some really cool pictures of the beach. If anybody wanted to look at it.
Before the wall, yeah.
Well, no, there's somebody standing down there.
Oh, yeah.
So, that
Tear
was
down that wall.
2017.
No, after the wall.
And then there was a pool down behind the recreation, the Booster Club building.
Did you know that this was, what we are doing with the beach project was part of the master plan? The old
But
master
the old
plan.
one.
What it says, yes, this is in recreation. Edward and Doggard Beach and Campground.
Back to the future.
3.5 acre site is located on Levitt Hill on the shores of Little Squam Lake. Facilities include beach with approximately 350 feet of lake frontage, a small play area and a picnic facility, a bathhouse with toilet and change of facilities and parking area. Planning for the future, in 2010, the Parks and Recreation Director began the process to permit and fund the erection of a building at the beach. Its use as storage for canoes, kayaks, for programs and rental would create additional educational and recreational opportunities at the beach. Partnering with the New Hampshire Fish and Game Department to coordinate with its future fisherman program would include training in canoe and kayak use and safe boating courses to be offered for summer camp and participant residents.
Wow,
And it also, tasks that they wanted to do as part of the entire master plan, they had a list of things. Number 3, build storage shed at the beach and follow through with coordinating programs with New Hampshire Fish and Game Department.
And what was the date on that?
2010. 2010. So,
2010.
So this,
So what we got out of that was the wall.
yes, I have copies here. You want a copy?
Yeah,
No, the wall
20,
is
adopted in
2013,
2013.
yeah. The wall comes around like 2016.
That's out of the town.
This is that on the beach. Yes,
Thank you.
that's on the beach.
also, I have photographs of the beach from above. We had a drone in Brewer
Oh,
taking movies, and we have some really
so
fine.
before, after, that'd be great for before and then after.
That's nice.
Are there any pictures of the beach before the wall? Does anybody find anything?
Yeah.
Maybe you probably did,
It's in the DES report.
probably, yeah.
It's in my office.
So Bonnie, sorry, Charlie, I didn't mean to cut you off. What does Kendall need at this point? Or does he have everything he needs?
Oh, no, this,
just
that was
has to
just
write
the
this.
data.
Oh, okay, so he wants it.
We've got
We gotta
the
fill it in.
verbiage, although I found a website that was incredible. You're probably familiar with it. And it gave a great description of Ashland.
Yes,
You know, if you could
So
put
I
all,
think that would
put
be
all
the
this
beginning.
information into a single document. You could throw it into Copilot or ChatGPT and have it summarize it for you.
Did you see my eyes crossed?
I mean, if you wanna do that, I will.
Yeah, I
will-
didn't know, like nobody has a Word doc
Mm.
that you're working off of. It's
Yeah.
very interesting to try to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we'll probably, what we should do is kind of take a section at a time and work on it.
Yeah.
I mean, historical perspective is gonna be up until this point,
Yeah, the challenge is going to be the vision going forward.
right?
That's really what
Yeah, this
you're
was the
trying
easy
to
stuff.
achieve in a master plan. And that's gonna be challenging for this committee, because, you know, do we really know as a group, as a town, you know, where we want Ashland to be 10 years from now? Usually, I mean, that's the time frame that you're looking at.
I don't think that's what the charrette that Kendall's trying to get going to get the
Which
input.
would be part of a way to do that, but I think in the master plan, without getting into the level of specifics that a charrette would do. I think this committee's responsibility is to fashion a vision of how we would like to see this town evolve for the next 10 years. Right, and what are the drivers perhaps of that process? So I hope we won't get too tied down into numbers, you know, in history, because the master plan, the vision is what drives the master
Can we
plan.
put that out to the town and for other suggestions and
Every summer you
Ideas?
need to
I,
get-
I
Yeah.
like that idea
We
a
do,
lot.
yeah, what do you want?
When-
Yeah.
Do that for a survey.
When I looked that up, because I had a site, you know,
Yeah.
this in our proposal, but I didn't wanna talk about beach, obviously, I wanna love it, talk about beach. But the point being, they had a study done. It was an economic study, you know, and it was a study that was done, to, you know, basically before, when this was being developed. You know, and that's, I think that may even be online, because I remember running, I just saw so many documents. But you know, so yes, there was a study done. It's not like this just came from a bunch of people sitting around a table. Although things can be done that way, it's not like they can't be, but it came from, you know, a study and a survey and, breaking down like kind of businesses that were going on in the town and different kinds of this and that and what households did and household characteristics. I mean, it wasn't just a slap dab, yep, we got a vision, you know, it wasn't at all. If I'm correct, I remember seeing this. So I think it came from a study. That's why I didn't know if you guys have anything like that. I mean, kind of like, you know, just like a feasibility study would be, but not. It's more of a, well, it is actually. I mean, you're looking at what is the characteristics of the town, you know, what's serving the people on like, you know, where they want to see it go. That they're very good ways to do that. So anyway,
That's
I just.
for the charrette, I believe.
Yeah, that's what the Shred's doing.
And
but-
other towns have had to do this. Everywhere you go, you
Usually you
see
have to
master
do
plan done, please review. So
you have
there
to do
must
that.
be an initial survey
Yeah,
somewhere
they,
that we
Yeah,
could
yeah, they
buy.
normally do a survey and then
I think that's a great
the
idea.
further you
Jen.
get along in the process, they'll do a tabletop workshop where you break out into groups with
Right.
different things. And then, yeah, it's quite involved.
It is.
But
It is
from
important.
this committee's point of view, without having a charrette, there's some basic, you know, discussion you can have, but, you know, one of my favorites is that 10% of the town's tax revenue comes from commercial businesses, okay? In my mind, that's completely out of balance. That's why our residential tax rates are under such pressure. So, you know, it's a general statement for a master plan that says, you know, promote the processes that try to rebalance the community and move that 10% to, you know, some other future number that, you know, is gonna make more sense. You know, that's the kind of sense you want to project in a master plan, you know, where we realize we're deficient in some way and we need to do whatever process it takes to change that. We need to initiate it, whether it's the charrette or whatever. So we're kind of trying to define ourselves in the type of community we want to have. I mean, it pains me that I hear all these stories, you know, from guys like Alan, you know, that tell me how robust the town was, you know, 25 years ago, and that, well, you could get anything you wanted, just walk up and down the street. You know, it's not that way anymore. We all have to go to Plymouth or Tilton or whatever. So, you know, I think generalized statements like that say, you know, we would like to have a more complete, you know, commercial infrastructure to our town. I know Kendall's been working on, for example, issues that deal with the zoning. Because, you know, my discussions with him say, you know, the zoning is overly restrictive of development. So, you know, have an input that says, you know, we need to look at, you know, how restrictive our zoning is and how do we open it up? If we want more commercial business to come to town, how do we open it up to do that? Anyway, I don't want to get into the designing the master plan at the moment, but
No, it's good food for thought.
Yeah,
We need to start
that's-
thinking in that
that's the
direction.
overview. I mean, we're the committee that needs to direct the process, not perform the process. I mean, the planning board, the charrettes, I mean, they'll drive it to where our vision says we need to be. And that's what you hope for. So we want to be that oversight group that puts the ideas down.
But to your earlier point, you don't plan for the future, or you don't plan for the past, right?
Yep.
That's right, and you have to do it in some way that's credible. I mean, the reason I asked for the date is because, I mean, I read that master plan and, you know, I'm thinking, wow, that's a pretty good master plan. And then I bump into the date at the end and I said, oh my gosh. I mean, how did all these ideas just die? You know, and nothing moved forward. And, you know, the beach is kind of the example of this. We had a beach, right? We needed to improve it. and all we got was a wall. You know, I mean, I don't, it's not funny, and I know some of these things are complicated, and the DES got involved, and we had problems, I'm not downplaying any of that, but we have to transcend that, and that's what the whole beach project is about, but we need some other projects that transcend what have been, insurmountable opportunities, I guess, you know, I would describe them as, so we need to accomplish.
So along that vein, did we hear back from anyone interested in the mill building? Anyone interested in looking at the mill building?
You're
Yes.
gonna,
I still gotta connect with that
Okay.
engineer guy.
I wanted to talk to you about it, because I've got stuff, you've got pictures, maybe you and I can, it'd be nice to just have a little brochure with what the building, and the deed of the building and a picture of the building or something, and maybe you and I can get together and take a look at that.
Okay.
Just, we're not gonna make it look pretty, but it does, you know, it just something.
I do have some photos, but we can.
Okay, we can look at just, no, we can just look at,
New
so,
ones.
so because I'm ready to reach out, but I just, it's like, okay, I need something to, it's just a prompt, but whatever, but you know, so it's, yeah, it would help. We can do that, okay, next couple of weeks.
So can I, just ask a general question, here? Anyone can answer, okay? Minus 33,
Yes,
anyone ever buy anything from them?
yes,
Yeah.
they have, according to my son.
Yeah.
Who, is a snowmaker, he's worked on Loon, and right now he's been working it for the last couple of years in Penny. So he has all of the stuff, the sharp, you know, scrapper boots and all that stuff. He says minus 33 socks are the best socks. They are not thick in your shoes, but they are the warmest ones and your feet don't sweat.
So I didn't even know they were there.
And they make,
We had a guest this week, he came in with like a
yeah,
North Face over,
uh-huh,
outer shell, and it was nice.
yes,
It's like, why?
right, and
why-
you know,
why
and
is
it's
this
like,
place buried in the back, and you know, why
Well,
aren't they out on Main Street?
and they
You
have,
know,
well,
why don't they have
we-
a showroom?
well, we kind of, you know,
Yeah.
they've got, I was in there, like, they gave me a tour, they have you seen their knitting machines, their sock making machines?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, and, they're expanding.
Yeah.
They, and, you know, I heard someone say, you know, they should put a show, you know, like a little showroom at the front of the Froningberg or something, you know, they, you know, like a company store.
Right?
I don't know, but
Okay,
it,
the flower shop left.
or the flower shop,
Yeah.
flower
That'd
shop,
be
yes.
perfect.
Oh,
That'd be a good
yeah.
spot right there.
yes.
Yeah.
And then,
Who owns that building?
But someone better get in there before someone else buys it.
yeah, it's
Does
for,
it
it's
count?
for, from what
I
I've been,
mean,
No.
So,
no.
what-
we don't have any,
Oh, we can find out.
oh no, it's for sale or lease, she will do whatever, they're doing some work on it, but, Linda Perry owns
but I
it.
mean, it seems like
Yeah.
that's like a little LL Bean type.
Oh,
thing
oh, it
that,
is, they,
you know,
they've,
that could
right, but it's, they.
brought people from out of town, you know?
It's higher end,
What's that?
it's higher end.
It's very high end.
Yeah, they're not cheap, but really good.
Yeah,
Really?
right.
Yeah, but for the,
It's
but,
more like a Patagonia
Right.
than a, you know.
yeah, but this is for, you know, this is like my son, this is hardcore, they're on the mountain when it's 20 below
Yeah.
zero, blowing
Yeah,
snow and
well,
water, so.
this is Australian merino wool that they use,
Yeah.
and these are descendants of
The original.
the original mill processes.
I guess my point is we have this kind of gem here in town and
Well, you know what, I almost called the Tractor Supply, it's on my list to call Tractor Supply. Cause, okay,
if they
cause you
have
could,
them in.
cause Tractor Supply, no, it's in Tractor, which one? Yeah. They don't carry these socks. And it's like, well, this is corporate, it's like, yeah, this is the region, this is, you should have these, you know, Ashland, at Bellamy's has them. I've seen them there.
But the reason I didn't is because they were outsourcing the process.
They're bringing it
They
back.
had- You
They
said
are
they're
bringing
coming
it-
back.
they are
So
bringing
that
it back.
changes my whole
But they
perspective.
have a letter of support. for
They
the-
did.
For the beach, but you should read it.
Yeah,
Just
But
read it.
again, I guess my point is,
Why they're what they're
we should
doing.
be promoting
They're bringing
these
it back.
guys,
Yeah.
right?
right,
They
yeah.
need to toot their own horn more.
We can do a promotion. We can go in and take photographs and do an interview.
You know,
and-
there is a
we're-
Chronicle thing on them that's a couple years old. If you go look at Chronicle, you can find it.
What,
fun.
how can we post that though? Do we post it
On our website.
on our website.
Yeah,
But
I'm still waiting for stuff.
Yeah, right.
the one, I saw something posted, it was really small and hard to read.
But you gotta click on it.
Oh,
Well. Go on the website. Okay,
I'll show it to you, Dan.
on website. Scroll down, like October 2025 newsletter,
This is why
Yeah,
you need a
yeah.
team, you know?
then you can make it larger.
Wow.
So frequent.
is it getting
It's
larger?
a nice one, and they have,
Oh, it
actually,
would.
somebody
You
who
can make it
wrote their
larger.
stuff on their website did a good job. You know, like their stories are very good, but you really read the letter. Cause if you read the letter, it tells you what their vision is, and, you know, in one page, cause you can't go beyond one page for this, you know, for the.
I guess what I'm trying to say
They really
is,
wanna
it
do
doesn't
something.
make a splash. It doesn't,
Well, it's a town website. We're not in advertising.
Well, she's a photo journalist. She wants to make it
Pretty.
I wanna,
we want to
it's gonna
attract
be
people.
there and people go, oh, I
Oh.
wanna look at this.
Well, we want something there because, you know, people who are driving through, we do these strange vacations, my husband and I, and it's like, well, what's of interest? We find something, you know, and we'll stop in that town just because it's there, and then maybe we'll go eat.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it's just,
That's right.
Well, a lot of
That
people
kind
go to Chamber of Commerce in the area.
We can have a chamber, that's why I went to
Well, the
Rotary.
Plymouth.
you know, from
Yeah.
here.
Plymouth
Pemmy,
other
Pemmy
advertise.
Valley, yeah.
Yeah, but Plymouth,
Yeah.
their chamber isn't doing much.
It's not
Yeah.
wrong.
Like, not, you know, cause I
Oh, really?
looked into them, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if we have
That's why I went
the
to
master
Rotary.
plan, an idea for a chamber. of
Because
commerce.
if we were to
Would that
do
help us?
something
Is it,
on
was
the
it in
mill,
there?
on the woolen
Yes, yeah.
mill and put that little, and people like me were, oh, that's small. You know,
But you know, there is no reason, there is a Chronicle thing, and I'm sure if you put something on the website with them, with a link to the
Well, then
Chronicle
redirect,
thing,
yeah.
the redirect, you know, we could, all of this stuff, because it's cool. It is cool,
It's very cool.
you know, so there's, we
Something,
can do that.
something that brings you in initially, that's eye-catching, oh, I wanna go look. And then.
I
they-
wanna go see what they, yeah, I wanna go
Yeah.
see what they are, and,
But without a storefront, you know.
well, you know, that's something.
We don't have, you know, what's gonna bring people.
Maybe I can go stop and we can put a bug in the ear, we'll get bug in the ear.
Did you get to your point about the beach that we delayed until the, master plan?
Where, I read the thing about the beach.
Okay.
For the master plan, but my thing was, it was in the last master plan.
Okay.
And the stuff that we've talked about doing that some people's done, or there's been some resistance, the whole thing of having rentals. And sailing lessons, or, you know, kind of
That's
stuff
already in
was in the 2010 master plan, so.
No, it didn't fly then either.
Well, no, that but it was on one, it was number 3 to-do
Seed,
list.
a little teeny tiny seed.
It was a number 3 to-do list, and then, so I think with all of the stuff we're doing, we gotta like make sure that the momentum keeps.
Right.
It also says continue mill building rehabilitation.
Yes. it does.
So we're on the right track.
We're continuing?
We were stalled on the tracks.
Yeah, no, we,
Yeah.
that 7 years went by and finally Ron cleaned the weeds out, so we're
You know,
making
it's like,
progress.
Yeah.
So back to minus 33, I mean, I'd be willing to work, you know, we're trying to, because
Work
it's
something
it's cool. It is
Yeah,
cool, and
yeah.
it is a
It
word,
needs to be.
Yeah.
it's
You know,
there,
And maybe, remember Lori who was here, she was interested in maybe helping on member social media. Remember that?
oh, yeah,
That's right.
right.
I
That's
met with
right,
her,
yeah.
we met and talked, and that may be a nice
Right.
regulation.
Get her
See,
involved.
this is where you've just gotta get your teams together and work together,
Right.
and you could do,
So the other thing is,
would probably like it.
you know, even if they don't want to invest in the storefront, now is the perfect time for them to have a pop-up store, right? And so with the flower shop leaving, would they want to take over the flower shop at least through the end of the year?
For the holiday season at
Right.
least. Yeah.
I
You know?
could, I could talk to
Yeah.
Linda, who owns the store, see if she's I will see her tomorrow morning. See if she would be interested, probably see her tomorrow morning, see if that's something she would be interested in doing. But then we have to talk to them and see if they would be interested in doing that.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little cost to them to get started with it.
Right, and usually you'd start something like this 6 months before you like
Yeah,
go live,
approval for the-
yeah.
They have a very good direct marketing, operation, minus 33, that's how they have their business, and they have two channels. They will sell directly to individuals who like to do
Like online sales.
Yeah, outdoor kind of, activities. And they, individual can have an account and they have an internal rep at minus 33 that will contact that individual, coordinate what they wanna buy. And they also have a number of, retail operations.
Yeah.
Like where they'll sell
Like
it.
Melody's house.
Also, but the timing is probably good to work with them because their market is now likely to expand. Why? Because of tariffs, which have been the thing that has suppressed their development the most.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's a perfect example of a
Where
business
do they
that
get their wool from?
all the wool comes from Australia. It's merino wool, the highest quality anywhere. That's why the product
Oh,
is
the tariffs.
so. Oh, what's that? The tariffs of the wool coming, well, I don't think that there's not a lot of tariffs on raw materials. It's the manufacturer or the processed goods that now, are being restricted or being
I thought it was just being put on whole countries.
pretty much, and
They're all
every
different.
country is different.
Yeah, they're all different.
So, I mean, it's complicated, John, but I don't expect that, that they'll have a problem getting their product. But it's the other people who make wool products that won't now be as easily compete with them here in the United States. So, they should have, and I think they're feeling that. I've had some recent discussions with someone who works there, and they're feeling optimistic that this is a time to expand their business. Okay,
They do put out a very nice product.
absolutely.
Bonnie, anything else on the master plan?
Nope.
Anything else from anyone? So Andy was done at 6:11 the other night.
I knew you'd be trying to compete.
He didn't come close. We'll do better.
We're good.
All right, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Be very